If you guys have been following along my journey, you may or may not know that I recently got married. And because I am now a steak and butter wife, a lot of my life goals and things that I am prioritizing have slowly shifted. One of my biggest dreams is to start my own family. I really want to prepare my body in the best way possible to be the strongest I can possibly be, to build muscle, and of course to maintain a positive attitude and healthy mindset. Being carnivore has taught me the beautiful lesson of being in tune with my body. I've absolutely learned to value and prioritize how I feel. Building muscle has been something that I've been focusing on heavily in conjunction with living a high-fat carnivore lifestyle. I would absolutely love to document what exactly I'm doing to get to my muscle building goals and my body recomp goals, what I'm eating, workouts, daily routines, and habits that I am now implementing. If you guys want to see the details and the daily routines, comment it down below to request for it. So I share all of those details to lead to this portion of the video, which is the meat of the video. I have definitely started noticing that the foods that I need to lean on have shifted. When I was very sensitive and in deep healing, I really actively had to stay away from very specific carnivore foods. Because one, they would inflame me, two, they would veer me off track and be a slippery slope to some bad habits. I will be going through 3 major foods that I have completely changed my mind about and that I have now learned to lean on heavily. Whereas if I ate these 3 foods maybe 3-4 years ago, I would not have been able to feel nearly as good and have gotten the healing results that I needed to get initially. The first food that I want to dive into and share my experience with is cheese. When I first started carnivore, I could not tolerate cheese at all. It inflamed me, it triggered histamine intolerance, it made my autoimmune skin issues worse. It also made me feel very lethargic, tired, and puffy. And lastly, cheese was absolutely a slippery slope for me to truly overeat past satiation. Fast forward to now, 6 years into my carnivore journey, I actually have to rely on cheese every single day. And it's seriously crazy to me to even say that. I would not have ever imagined myself saying that I need to eat cheese every single day, because the steak and butter gal who was deep into healing maybe 4 years ago would not have believed that I could be able to moderate cheese, period. When I ate cheese back then, and anytime I allowed myself to have a treat meal with cheese, I would be able to eat a whole block of cheese, no problem. And then the next day I would feel very puffy, lethargic, and just not as good, very inflamed. Now, because my goals are different and my daily routine is vastly different, as in I'm now weightlifting, and when I weightlift, I lift very heavy as I can possibly lift, almost every single day, if not every day, at least 5 times a week. I simply cannot eat enough for my body to keep up with the activity that I'm doing now if I do not incorporate some type of cheese with my carnivore meals. I've only started going to the gym about 2 months ago, so all of this is so very new. Before going to the gym, I actually committed to at-home workouts for about 3 months before that. Now, 5 months into moving my body with intention, I have seen some drastic changes in my body composition. I actually also took a DEXA scan, and I want to share my results in a separate video that are very eye-opening in just exactly how effective body recomposition can be when you eat a very high-fat, clean carnivore diet combined with very intentional physical activity. Because I'm moving so much and expending so much energy, and you guys know me, when I commit to something, I give it my 110%. I now need to tweak my carnivore diet to support all of these workouts. And so that is why I have noticed that I do need to lean on cheese pretty much every single meal, absolutely every single day, to support my muscle building goals and to make sure that I am simply eating enough. The Bella that really needed to focus on healing and nourishing and eating and gaining that initial weight could not have ever imagined herself to want to work out and to want to go to the gym and doing hard physical activity. But now I actually find so much passion and fulfillment from it. I also absolutely love that dopamine rush or the endorphins that I feel every time I lift heavy. I now finally understand why you athletic carnivores really need to heavily lean on raw milk, raw cheese, raw dairy in general. The days where I take out the cheese and I don't allow myself to eat it, I just feel like I don't have that same fast, quick power that I get when I do eat cheese every day. Some people will say that it's probably from the small amount of carbs. I would absolutely believe that maybe I do need a little bit of carnivore animal-based carbs because of the amount of activity that I'm doing. Other people might say it's all of that amazing calcium in the raw cheese that I'm eating. And yes, I am only eating raw cheese. So I am still to this day avoiding pasteurized cheese. The fact that I need the raw cheese every single day, this is absolutely something that has completely changed in my carnivore eating. Year 1 versus now year 6. The second food is also a dairy product and also serves the same purpose as cheese, and it is kefir. Also in raw unpasteurized form. So a lot of these dairy products, except for one that I will mention after this, is raw unpasteurized because I have figured out a hack on how to find raw unpasteurized kefir and cheese anywhere I go. A lot of you guys have noticed that I've moved to Las Vegas, Nevada. We are giving this location a try to see if we want to move here for good and just settle down. I didn't think I was going to be able to easily find raw cheese and raw kefir, but I can actually effortlessly find it because raw cheese is always at Costco, the La Gruyere block of cheese that is raw and unpasteurized. So here in Las Vegas, there are many Sprouts grocery stores, which I'm so grateful for. So I always get their raw farm, raw cheddar cheese, and I also get their dog raw kefir. It's just a loophole for this brand to sell raw unpasteurized dairy in states where it is illegal. But really, it's the same human grade product that can be sold in legal states like California. So here, when I need my kefir, I get the pet version, which is at the very bottom of their shelves. It's labeled as like a pet topper, and I'll put an overlay so you guys know exactly what it looks like. And it really is the same product, okay? I've been drinking the pet version every single day for the past month and a half now, and no issues, absolutely no sickness, no infections, no stomach ache, nothing has happened but good things. When I first started carnivore, dairy in general was a slippery slope for me. It opened up my appetite. It didn't give me an honest representation of my true satiation and hunger cues, because when I was healing and still figuring out my body, I would not have been able to moderate dairy at all. Year 1, year 2, I was pounding in 5 pounds of meat every single day, plus a stick of butter, some days 2 sticks of butter. So if you guys want to calculate the calories for that, go ahead. It's probably astronomically high. But because I had such a voracious appetite, it was a very slippery slope and quite dangerous for me to use that voracious appetite to eat dairy products. The sheer volume of dairy that I could eat back then would have caused a lot of inflammation and slowed down a lot of my necessary healing. I now am able to eat it and drink it every single day with every single meal because my appetite has in fact calmed down and shrunk. That is another big change that I've noticed in the past 6 years of living carnivore is my appetite has indeed calmed down and closed up. I almost miss it sometimes to be able to sit down and eat 5 pounds of meat. It's also good for the budget. I don't nearly have to spend as much money just to eat. But that to me is true healing. I think I was so voracious and ravenous because I was malnourished. I was vegan for 6 years, low fat, high carb. My body was starving. All my body wanted was fatty meat and butter. Now that my hormones are healed, my metabolism is revved up, and my energy levels are stable and high 24/7, I now can naturally shift my focus from healing, eating to now moving the way that I want to and eating in a way that supports that movement. I didn't exercise at all my first 5 years of carnivore. And I really want to stress this because I don't want any of you guys watching this video to feel ashamed or like you're not doing enough because you're not also lifting heavy or going to the gym. My relationship with exercise before I started carnivore was so bad and so toxic. Because of the vegan diet and the malnourishment that I put my body through, I started building disordered eating habits where I would start binging on empty calories and so much sugar that the next day I would feel so guilty and so ashamed of myself that the only thing I knew to do was punish myself by killing myself in the gym. So this vicious cycle and this relationship that I built with food and exercise caused me to almost have an aversion to go into the gym doing any type of physical activity. So I'm so grateful to this high-fat carnivore lifestyle because it absolutely 100% healed my relationship with food, and therefore it healed my relationship with exercise as well. It took me 5 years to heal all of that, which I don't regret, and I'm very grateful that I committed to just 5 years of eating and healing and nourishing. But because it took me 5 years, I understand that for a lot of you guys who are malnourished and just as sick as I was, you cannot exercise. You simply don't have the energy or the ability to move at all because you just have to commit to healing, eating, nourishing, and focusing on getting well again. So this is all to say that if you don't feel like you have the energy or even the motivation to go to the gym, to lift, to even get off of your couch or bed to get some physical activity in, it's okay. Don't force yourself to. The best thing you can do for yourself right now is to just eat a carnivore diet and focusing on sealing that lifestyle so that you effortlessly want to eat carnivore day after day after day. The health issues or the chronic pain, chronic low energy, whatever issues you are currently struggling with, it didn't happen overnight. It took years and years and decades of stress on your body to build these health concerns and these chronic issues. It's going to take the same amount of time, if not longer, to completely heal. For those who are currently going through their adaptation phase on a carnivore diet, symptoms like low energy, muscle cramping, and headaches can just be a sign of electrolyte imbalance. So you can either start off by salting all of your meals a little bit heavier with a high quality salt to see if it resolves any of those symptoms. For a lot of new carnivores, just leaning on salt is not enough, and a high quality electrolyte supplement may be necessary temporarily. This is the brand that I always recommend. It is from the brand Element, and I have always only recommended this raw unflavored version. I do not recommend their stevia filled versions or their flavored versions. So their raw unflavored is truly just the 3 ingredients our body needs: sodium, potassium, and magnesium. These are what the little packets look like, nice and small. Throw it in your travel bag, gym bag, rip one open, pour it in whatever you're drinking, mix it up, drink it down, and you're good to go. To get a free sample pack, and it does have their raw unflavored with any purchase by going to the URL shown on the screen, drinklmnt.com/SBGAL. I've also linked them down below. To me, this makes sense why it took 5 whole years to completely heal and get back to a baseline healthy me where I actually felt any sort of motivation to want to work out and go to the gym. I didn't start this fitness journey, by the way, by forcing myself to start. I think what I noticed was my energy levels kept getting higher. My sleep was so great. I woke up feeling so revived and so energetic. My metabolism was so revved up from all of these amazing carnivore foods that I'm eating, and my hormones are so happy that I simply didn't know what to do with all the extra energy that I had. That's when I started feeling empowered to start moving my body more than just walking. But the last food is dry aged meats, dry aged animal foods in general. When I first started the carnivore diet, I suffered with extreme histamine intolerance. Any aged meats or any meat that was not very fresh, I would get a runny nose, my skin would start getting itchy. Sometimes I would just break out in hives and just have an allergic reaction. These are all symptoms of histamine intolerance. And for a lot of people with autoimmune issues or deep healing needed, when they go carnivore, these types of symptoms become very clear, and dry aged meats or meats that have been aged at all needs to be avoided for the time being. So my first 3 years of carnivore, I actively avoided any and all dry aged beef, dry aged meat, cured meats like prosciutto, dry aged steaks. 6 years in, I'm actually able to fully tolerate dry aged steaks. So for example, my husband would take me out to dates, and recently I started testing their dry aged ribeyes or dry aged New York strips. And I noticed that when I would eat these dry aged steaks, I would not have runny nose or itchy skin. And I also found that I really, really loved that that dry-aged, pungent, blue cheesy flavor of these steaks. So it's actually now one of my favorite foods to eat when we go out on special dates and celebrations. I really didn't think that I would ever be able to tolerate dry-aged meats or aged cured meats ever because of the severity of my symptoms when I was having histamine intolerance. It really does go away. If you focus on the right carnivore eating to speed up your healing, your body will be able to tolerate aged meats, dry-aged meats, no problem. For some, the histamine intolerance phase will be longer than others, but keep testing, keep reintroducing, and keep treating your body as your own N=1 experiment. This also applies to cold cut meats that are dry-aged, like prosciutto, salami. Even though I personally do not eat salami and most cold cut meats because there's also a bunch of spices and seasonings, and I just don't like to mess with those things. When I eat clean, cured prosciutto, which is literally only pork and salt, I also no longer have histamine intolerance issues. So that's always nice as a quick snack when I'm traveling or on the go and as a backup emergency food. I'd love to know if you get histamine intolerance symptoms when you eat aged meats of any sort. Share your experiences down below in the comments section. Okay, those are all the foods. To sum up, it is raw cheese, raw kefir, and any type of aged meats. Now, these foods I eat almost every single day, and the cheese and the kefir I actually need to make sure that I am eating enough. It is absolutely fueling my muscle gains and my body recomposition. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you guys enjoyed the updates and the observations that I shared in this video. It was definitely a little bit more detailed than usual, and I did really want to give you a updated representation of how my carnivore diet is looking like 6 years in, now with the newly added weightlifting workouts in my life. Now, for those who are still in deep healing mode, who have a lot to heal, and who are still figuring out what foods or modalities they should try out to support this healing phase, for some it may take a year, 2 years, 5 years like me. If you are feeling a little bit lost or simply just alone doing this by yourself, joining a support group and a meat eating community can be so very helpful. And that's exactly why I created the Steak and Butter Gang. I created it 5 years ago solely so that I don't have to feel alone and so that I can connect with fellow carnivores in person and on Zoom as much as I wanted to. So absolutely, it was a selfish thing. I felt alone. I wanted to make friends. So I made a community. And 5 years in, this community is still my happy place, my main source of inspiration to keep going, and the place where I learn all of the newest tricks and tips on how to level up a carnivore lifestyle. So if you are looking for a community to belong to and for a 30-day challenge to stay on track with, you can all join my next Steak and Butter Gang challenge any month by going to the URL shown on the screen, sbgmeetup.com, or clicking the links down below in the description box. Thank you all so much for watching the video. I will see you in my next one.